Welcome to Nerdy Psychology, where your mind's not as messy as it seems. We break it down with a little curiosity and make sense of your thoughts and your themes. So be curious, stay kind, keep your mind nerdy.
Have you ever met someone and within seconds you just thought, I already know I do not like them? And not because they did anything wrong, but something about them just felt off. Maybe it was the coworker who talks a little too confidently in meetings, or the friend who always seems to make things about them, or the woman who walks into a room like she belongs there. And you find yourself thinking, that's a bit much. Who do they think they are? Why are they like that? But here's the part most people don't talk about. Sometimes the people who trigger us the most aren't showing us who they are. They're showing us something about us. They're a mirror. Hi nerds, I'm Dr. Angel, a mental health professional and the creator of Nerdy Psychology, where we talk about mental health in real, grounded, and human ways, especially the things people don't usually say out loud. And today we're talking about something that can feel a little uncomfortable, but can completely change the way you understand yourself and other people. So, what is the mirror effect? The mirror effect comes from a psychological concept called projection. And simply put, sometimes what we react to in others is connected to something that's unresolved within ourselves. Not always and not in every situation, but often enough that it's worth paying attention to. And here's the key. This isn't about blaming yourself. This is about understanding your reactions. Because your reactions, they're not random. They're patterned. Let me walk you through a few real life patterns. I once worked with someone who couldn't stand a coworker. She would say things like, everything has to be about her. She just needs constant attention. And on the surface, that seemed fair. But when we slowed it down, something interesting came up. She shared she grew up in a home that she had to be low maintenance. She was praised for being easy and quiet and not needing much. Attention, that was something you earned, not something you took. So when she saw someone freely taking up space, it didn't register as confidence. It registered as, that's not okay. But underneath that judgment was something deeper. I was never allowed to do that. I'll give you another story. You meet someone who is expressive and emotional, maybe even a little intense, and your reaction is, ooh, that's a lot. They need to calm down. But let's rewind. If you grew up in an environment where emotions were dismissed, or they were punished, or they were labeled as dramatic, then you likely learn, stay controlled, stay composed. So when someone else expresses emotions freely, your nervous system doesn't say, oh, that's healthy. It says, ooh, that's dangerous. All right, this is an example that shows up a lot, especially for women. You see someone who sets boundaries, says no without over-explaining, prioritizes their needs, and the immediate reaction is, she's so selfish. But let's be honest for a second. Many women were raised with messages like, be nice, don't hurt people's feelings, keep the peace, don't be difficult. So when you see someone who doesn't follow these rules, it creates tension because part of you is judging it and the other part of you is thinking, I wish I could do that. All right, here's another example. You meet someone who is direct, confident, maybe even a little bold. And instead of thinking, wow, they're really secure, your brain goes, whoa, they're arrogant. But sometimes it's really not about them. Sometimes that's about, I just don't feel allowed to show up like that in my life. So, why does this happen? Well, our brains are constantly trying to answer one question: what is safe for me to do and what is safe for me to be? And over time, you build rules like don't be too loud, don't be too needy, don't take up too much space, don't make mistakes. And these rules, they're not random, they're learned. We learn them in our families, in our schools, and in our cultures, in our relationships, in our religions. And once those rules are in place, guess what? Your brain starts filtering the world through those rules. So when someone violates one of those internal rules, it doesn't feel neutral, it feels wrong. So here's the shift I want you to take with you. Instead of asking, what is wrong with them? Start asking, what is this bringing up inside of me? Because that question turns judgment into insight, and insight creates choice. So let's make this practical. The next time you feel triggered by someone, I don't want you to shut it down. I want you to slow it down and ask, what exactly is bothering me? What does this trait represent to me? Where did I learn that this was a problem? Is this something I judge? Is this something I had to suppress? And here's the key: you don't have to agree with the behavior, you don't have to like the person, but you can understand your reaction. And that's where your power is. So I will leave you with this: the people who trigger you aren't always the problem. Sometimes they're pointing to a part of you that hasn't had permission to exist yet. If this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. What is one trait in others that tend to trigger you? And if I gave you something to think about, please consider sharing this with someone who's doing their own inner work. Until next time, be curious, stay kind, and keep your mind nerdy. That's a wrap. See you next week.
So be